Hi everyone, Joe Kehrig, managing broker of Coldwell Banker Real Estate in Danville, and this is your San Ramon Valley real estate update for the week, well, Thanksgiving week, the week of November 23rd. I get a lot of questions as far as because the market, as we know, is so active and so hot right now. How long can it go? And what about all the homes in forbearance? And is there potentially another 2008 coming? Well, I think 3 to 4 months, 5, 6, 8 months ago when I started these videos, I gave you a lot of graphs why this is not going to be 2008 when the market does end up correcting. And I'm going to show you some more graphs as far as forbearance today that just backs that up why we're not going to have, I have people say, hey, I want to wait till the foreclosures happen. Well, they'll be waiting a long time. They'll happen far and few in between, but I certainly wouldn't wait for the foreclosures. But let's first dive into the market. Let's start with the graphs as we always do with San Ramon. And as we've always talked about, this is a seller's market. And what we're hoping to see, because anytime that you have a lot more pendings than you do active, it's a seller's market. Normally there's a lot more active than there are pendings. And as I always say, you can drop me any place in the United States and just show me the percentage of actives and pendings, basically the supply and demand, and I'll tell you which way the market's going. Well, there's no end in sight with what we're seeing. I mean, just look at San Ramon in the past 3 weeks. Look at active properties, 74 to 66 to 57. And we were hoping that we would see, for a couple weeks back there, about a month ago, we actually saw the inventory, keeping up with the pending sales. And you'll still see that a little bit depending what city, but certainly when you look at San Ramon, the pending sales have been staying pretty active, consistent. The sold properties have been staying pretty consistent. But look at the active properties. Now, part of that is the time of year. This is the time of year where if people don't have to sell, they normally don't put their home on the market, because they don't want to do it during the holidays. But I will tell you, if you're a seller, and I have sellers come to me, hey, Joe, should I sell now or should I wait till spring? And the one thing I always tell them is, hey, I think the market's going to be just as strong during the spring, but all we know is what we know right now. And that basically is, it's the strongest market that we've ever really seen in my 42 years of professionally selling real estate. And, there are obviously some things that potentially could slow the market down. Certainly, like we always talk about, when you look at it, it's all supply and demand. So let's look at supply. Well, in the San Ramon Valley, there's not a lot more homes that are going to be built. Yes, here and there for the most part, but it's not like the builders, another 20,000 homes are going to come on the market. So the supply is always going to be in low supply. The demand, because of what's happening with COVID, and we have so many people coming from Silicon Valley, the Peninsula, San Francisco, to get more for their money, get more expansive homes, more bedrooms. The market is extremely strong right here. And the interest rates being sub 3%, 2.75 or so right now. Now, what I think is going to happen, because I do think that, you saw obviously great news about the vaccine for the viruses coming out, 2 different pharmaceutical companies coming out with really successful tests. And hopefully by the end of the year, they'll start distributing it on a limited basis. And with that news, you saw the interest rates tick up just a little bit, and the 10-year Treasury ticked up a little bit. So if you follow interest rates, they'll usually follow the 10-year Treasury. With prices being so high right now, that is one thing that can lower the demand down, which will obviously affect the market. You'll see inventory go up, but it's not so much inventory going up. It's basically demand going down and letting that inventory catch up a little bit. But, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that yet. Look at San Ramon, like I said, down as far as inventory, pending sales staying pretty consistent. When you look at the Danville market, you'll see something a little bit different. You'll see that obviously inventory is going down, but so are pending sales. So right now, the Danville market is still a seller's market, but it's holding pretty steady because the inventory is going down, as we're kind of seeing almost across the board. But In the case of Danville, you're seeing also the pending sales going down. So right now, that's kind of holding steady. Still very much a seller's market. As I mentioned to you before, um, if you're a seller and you're thinking about selling and you're ready to sell, give us a call and, we'll chat. I had someone ask me the other day, hey, Joe, should we put it on now or should we put it on during the spring? And I go, well, it depends what your goals are. What do you want to accomplish? What's your timetable? And then we walk you through it step by step and figure out what's best for you. But overall, I don't see a lot of changes in the short term, but certainly, this market will correct at some point. And like I said, the rise in interest rates as we get on the other side of this COVID with the vaccine is definitely going to be one of those things that slows down the demand. So Danville, you see, is still being strong, pending sales down, but active properties down also. Same thing in Blackhawk. You see that the pending sales have gone down, but so have the active properties. And that's just an overall slowdown for the time of the year. The active sales, obviously, not as many homes coming on the market and not as much activity as far as the pending sales. But you look at when the sold properties in Blackhawk, there's a lot more sold properties, which more than make up for that pending. So when you add in, from 2 weeks ago when you had 12 pendings and 2 closings, and then last week you had 9 pendings and 6 closings, it actually, evens that out a little bit. So still, the Blackhawk market's very strong. You look at Alamo, same thing. Alamo is basically the active properties have gone down. So basically, every market we're looking at, the active listings, new homes coming on the market is going down. And in Alamo's case, the pending sales are ticking up, just a little bit. So Alamo's still a very, very strong market. Matter of fact, for an average price over $2 million, it's amazing when you look at it this week. Look at that. The active sales are 33, the active properties are 33, and the pending sales are 33. Basically even, which when you have a market where the average sales over $2 million, that's amazing because there's less buyers as you get up in price. Then you look at Dublin, and Dublin has always been out of whack for a long time. And the reason for that is the fact that, the average price is around $1 million. So it's a lot more affordable. Like we talked about prices, it's like a pyramid. As you go down, you have a lot more potential buyers out there. So you can see that's staying pretty steady. Pending sales have gone down a little bit. Actives, are staying about the same. So again, a really strong market in Dublin. When you look at as far as forbearances, and people ask, Joe, what about all the homes and forbearances? Well, look at this graph, the distribution of loans in active forbearance by current combined loan to value. So people that have 30+% equity in their home is 62%. People that have, basically 20 to 30% is 17%. And the people who have 10 to 20% is 12%. So literally 91% of the people out there have at least 11%, and a lot of them have a lot more than that. So if the market corrects a little bit, these people in forbearance are not just going to let their homes go. And after 2008, 9, and 10, the banks don't want their homes. So literally, they're going to try to work it out as much as possible. And as you can see, before you would let your home foreclose, you would just sell it if you have plenty enough equity, even if the market goes down a little bit. So look at this next one of the 5,760,000 families granted forbearance. This is what happened when the expiration of the forbearance plan happened. Well, the forbearance was extended to almost 2.4 million, and then removed while performing, or the paid mortgage off, you can see is another 2.8 million. Only 481,000 were expired or delinquent, are in loss mitigation, and only 80,000 are expired delinquent. So the vast, vast, vast majority of homes in forbearance have basically, they've either been taken out of forbearance or basically the payments are being kept up. Only a small percentage are actually going into delinquency. And of that small percentage, I guarantee you the banks are going to try to do workout situations with those people. The other thing that we talked about is in the beginning is the inventory. And so when you look at where the inventory is going back to September 2019, the month's supply of available inventory, and you can see, and this is countrywide going all the way across, well, all the way to July, it was over 4%, or 4.1 million homes. And then you look down at August, September, and October, how low it went down to 2.8, 2.8, and now in October, 2.5. We're seeing that in our own market also. So, and here's another reason why it's not going to be 2008, 9, because back, if you remember, in 2005, 6, and 7, as you can see, people were using their homes as piggy banks. They were refinancing and pulling that cash out. Well, you can see what's happened, and part of that is because the loan situations. It's not as easy to pull money out of your house. And that's why 42%, if you can believe it, 42% of the people that have loans in the United States, or 42% of the people that own homes in the United States own them free and clear. And I think it's like 54% have at least 50% or more equity. You can see people are not pulling their money out. They're not using it as a piggy bank like they did before. What the Mortgage Bankers Association forecasts for preparing for rising mortgage rates, you can see 2021, they think it's going to go up slightly, 2022, 2023. So they're still expecting to be sub 4% in a couple years from now. But remember, if you're at 2.75 and you go to 3.75, that makes a huge difference, as far as a loan, and that's going to take a lot of people out of the market. But again, when we look at the inventory, what scares me a little bit is once people get into these loans for 2.753% and they have their home, and then interest rates do go up to 4%, those people are not going to want to sell the home that they're in. They're going to want to stay, which is just going to increase the lack of supply, or I guess that's kind of a double negative. It's basically there's going to be a lot less homes on the market, a lot less inventory coming on, because people aren't going to want to give up those sub 3% loans. So that's a scary part that I see a little bit. After 42 years, selling through 5 recessions, this has been the longest bull run that we've had as far as the market going up and up and up. So as I always tell you guys every week, my sensible part sits there and says, geez, this market's going to correct. But there's really nothing out there that would make me think that the market's going to correct. I don't think the interest rates are going to go up right away. It's going to take a while for that, though I do think they're going to start hedging up, which will probably slow the market down a little bit. But certainly the supply, and a lot of corporations are telling people another year or so you're going to work from home, and some have basically given up their leases in their buildings. So it's going to be more of a permanent type situation. So in the San Ramon Valley, I think we've got a lot of prosperity to come. Having said that, a year ago, if I was giving this talk to you, who would have predicted what's happened in 2020? No one would have predicted that the market would drop literally like this. But again, come back literally like this. I mean, this has been one of the deepest falls and one of the fastest recoveries that we've ever seen. It's not just a V. I mean, it looks like this. So again, who knows with 2021, but really not any end in sight that we see right now. Though at the same time, prices are getting so expensive. If interest rates tick up a little bit, it will affect the market. So let's look at the sold to list prices in the areas that we talked about. And this is what happens when you have such a lack of supply compared to the demand. Look at this across the board. San Ramon, Danville, Blackhawk, Alamo, and Dublin, from 104 to 106% of asking price. And obviously there are some homes that sell below asking, so that tells you what's happening to all the other ones, how much are getting bid up. This is one of the first weeks where we've had across the board in all 5 areas of the San Ramon Valley, everything selling for pretty much a well above asking price. So again, no real end in sight in there. If you want some information as far as just your particular home, because We break it down by cities, but every area is a little bit different. Every neighborhood, every home within the neighborhood is a little bit different. Give us a call. Again, Joe Kehrig, managing broker of Coldwell Banker Real Estate in Danville. My phone number, 925-487-6838. Or drop me an email at joe@kehrigteam.com, and we'll kind of guide you through the process and figure out what's best for you, not for us. When we meet with clients, we let people know that, hey, we're really, an advisor, to you, and a consultant. And that's what we're there to do, whether it's to sell your home now or sell your home a year from now or 6 months from now, or maybe just not planning on selling it at all, based on your particular situation. So give us a call if we can help you in any other way. This is Thanksgiving week. God knows we've had a lot of tragedy. 250,000 deaths from COVID. It's tragic, and I know COVID is spiking up a little bit. This Thanksgiving probably won't look like a lot of Thanksgiving that you're used to having, but wherever you are, hopefully you can either spend it with some loved ones or Zoom with some loved ones. But have a great Thanksgiving, and may God continue to bless you, your family, and may God bless the United States of America. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week. We're actually going to, in our next video, we're going to talk about Prop 19. That was the one where, the 55 or older can now throughout California transfer their properties. But there is, it's a double-edged sword. That's a very good news, but there's a lot of people upset. As far as a lot of people upset at real estate agents because the California Association of Real Estate sponsored that bill. And there is a negative side to Prop 19 as far as when you inherit a property, as far as not being able to keep your real estate tax base. So we're going to dive into that next week and chat about that. So until next week, again, Joe Kehrig, managing broker of Coldwell Banker Real Estate in Danville. Have a great Thanksgiving. God bless.